I told my wife not to dance with him. It wasn't a plea or a joke. It came out low, firm, and honest. She laughed, brushing it off with that playful flick of her wrist, the kind she used when I'd tease her about her cooking or her obsession with crime dramas. "What's the big deal?" she asked, already turning toward the man. But it was a big deal. I meant it. That night was meant to be lighthearted, a celebration, a friend's wedding filled with laughter, food, flickering candles, and music that made the floor vibrate. But the moment I saw him walking toward her, something in my chest tightened. He was the type of man who was always too smooth, too practiced, the kind who filled every silence with charm and never looked at a woman like she was just a friend. I'd seen him before. He worked with her. She'd mentioned him in passing, always with a casual shrug, like he was just a harmless buddy from the office. But when he smiled at her, it was different, intentional, possessive in a way most people wouldn't even notice. I did. So when he reached out his hand, asking her dance, I placed mine on her arm and said quietly, "Please don't." She laughed again, but it faltered this time, just a flicker of uncertainty. "You're not jealous, are you?" But I wasn't smiling. "I just don't like how he looks at you." She hesitated, confused, caught off guard by my seriousness, but not enough to pull away from him. He was already gently guiding her to the dance floor, his hand barely grazing the small of her back. And she went. I stood rooted, watching them as if through fog. The music was upbeat, but their rhythm was slow, too slow. He whispered something in her ear and she laughed, resting her hand on his chest like it belonged there. Every part of me screamed to go and pull her away, but I didn't. Not yet. I clenched my fists and stared as if looking harder would wake her up, make her remember I was standing just a few feet away. I stepped outside for air, swallowed by a bitterness I couldn't shake. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was just being insecure. But deep down, I knew what I saw. That dance wasn't innocent. It was the beginning of something unraveling. When I came back in, the music had shifted, but they were still together. Now seated at a small table in the corner, their heads leaned in, eyes locked in conversation far too close for comfort. When she saw me, she waved me over with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I sat next to her, silent. He nodded at me with a smirk. I didn't return it. The car ride home was quiet, heavy. She stared out the window, tried to ignore the tension, but finally asked, "Are you really mad about that dance?" "I told you I didn't want to dance with him," I replied, eyes on the road. "It wasn't just a dance. You knew that." She rolled her eyes slightly and turned back toward the glass. "You're being dramatic." "No, I'm being honest. There's something about him I don't trust, and I don't like how easily you trusted him." The rest of the ride was spent in silence, but the air between us had already shifted. In the following weeks, something inside her changed. She was quieter around me, distracted. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always flipped screen down when I walked into the room. She stayed late at work more than ever, offering vague explanations I didn't even ask for anymore. I told myself to be patient, to trust her, but the knot in my gut kept tightening. One night, after she fell asleep, I gave in. I picked up her phone, hated myself even as I did it. I scrolled through her messages, hoping to be wrong, but I wasn't. His name filled the screen. Casual flirtation, late-night conversations, private jokes, confessions written under the safety of dark hours, plans to meet for drinks. Things you don't say to someone you have no feelings for. Every word hit like a hammer, louder than the last. The next morning, I held the phone out and asked the only question that mattered. "Are you cheating on me?" Her eyes dropped instantly, face going pale. "We didn't sleep together," she whispered after a moment. That wasn't a denial. It wasn't comfort. It was guilt, and guilt always knows more than it says. "But you wanted to," I said, my voice low, raw. She didn't answer at first, just sat down slowly, like her legs could no longer hold her. "I don't know," she finally said. "He made me feel seen. You've been so distant lately." I laughed, a bitter sound I barely recognized. "Distant? I asked you not to dance with him. I begged you not to. and you laughed in my face." Her shoulders trembled as tears came. "I didn't mean for it to get that far." "But it did," I said coldly, "and you let it." I moved into the guest room that night. There was no shouting, no grand scenes. Just space. Cold and deliberate. She tried to fix things. We went to counseling. She changed apartments at work. She blocked him, deleted his number, said all the right things. But trust isn't a faucet you can just turn back on. Some nights I looked at her and remembered the way she laughed with him. Not me. Other nights, I wished I didn't remember it all. Then, one afternoon, I got a message from him. Just a single line. "You can't keep someone who doesn't want to stay." I didn't reply. I showed it to her. She cried again, harder than before. She blocked his number in front of me. Held her breath like that would erase it all. "I want to stay," she said. "With you?" And maybe she did, but I didn't know if I could ever feel the same. We kept trying. Dinner dates that felt like first dates. Awkward silences we didn't know how to fill. Holding hands like we were relearning each other from scratch. Sometimes we laughed again. Sometimes I saw flickers of the woman I married. But just as often, I saw shadows of that night. Her hand on his chest, her eyes full of someone else. Still, we stayed. And over time, something real began to take shape. Not what we had before, but something stripped bare and rebuilt. Not perfect, but honest. To this day, I still remember her laughing when I asked her not to dance. That moment plays in my mind like a film I can't quite turn off. A reminder that love can be fragile, easy to bruise. But it's also a reminder that sometimes, even when something breaks, it doesn't have to be thrown away. Sometimes, if both people want enough, they'll pick up the pieces, even the sharp ones, and try again,